Welcome to our office hours. We were just talking about how, again, pre-coffee shop or pre-office hours coffee run was much needed. But Kyle and I have some really exciting things to share with you. And today, on today's office hours, we're going to be talking about a job that just went live on the Make Writing Your job board for our featured job for Memoir Ghostwriting job. We're going to be talking about the book launch and some free giveaways and other exciting things that I have planned for you this Monday. We're going to be talking about the rate transparency report, what writers are making, what they've made in 2025, and what that says about what you can think about in 2026. A special deal we're running right now, which is one of the best deals that we've ever run. And then Kyle has some really good advice, feedback, and insights on how writers can make the most of the new year when it comes to Make Writing Your job. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Deborah. It's nice to see you guys. And yeah, welcome, Kyle.
Welcome, Amy Suto. I feel happy to be here on this couch, and I'm glad that we got you the caffeine. We're actually running a test with Amy's caffeine because normally, if she drinks caffeine past noon, it usually has turned up into her just staring at the ceiling in bed, just being like, I can't go to sleep. I've been here for 3 hours. And so I was like, okay, so we're going to be some pseudoscientists, or I'll be the pseudoscientist. We'll get you this caffeine since we've never really actually figured out what is the last moment that Amy can have caffeine before she can go to sleep. So she's currently doing an experiment. She drank her sip of caffeine. She started it at 1:44. And so we are seeing what happens with that. So we'll see tonight if Amy can sleep and if 1:44 is okay, or if we have to move the window lower to see if Amy can handle the caffeine. But I wanted to also let people know about that also.
Dosing is important. No, and I know like the Andrew Huberman, like the typical thing is like not having caffeine, but like afternoon. I'm curious if anybody on this call what you guys do caffeine wise. And so normally I've been doing no caffeine afternoon, but we're trying something new today.
Yes. I don't get how the Italians drink espresso right before they go to bed. Or like
I
at dinner, they're like, "Do you want some espresso after dinner?" And you're like,
know.
"Oh my God." But anyways, Amy, I'm not sure if you know, but there's an amazing book coming out next week and a book launch. Like I've been working really hard on it, but tell us a little bit about where you are and what's happening and what's going on Monday.
Yeah. And so Right for Money and Power is coming out on Monday. I'm sure you've seen all of the posts about it. What I wanted to do for the book launch was something special, which was I wanted to be live on Substack Live for nearly 12 hours on Monday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time and be joined by some amazing guests that I'm really excited to introduce you to talk to them about what creative power looks like to them in their creative writing, their creative practice. And I am so grateful to have such an amazing guest list, which I'm going to be announcing on Friday. And every single one of the guests for the Right for Money and Power book launch on Monday is going to be giving away either a 12-month annual paid comp subscription to their Substack, or they'll be giving away a book or something else. And so we potentially have thousands of dollars of giveaways on Monday. And so the giveaways are only going to be happening live on Substack. And so if you're wanting to be entered to win for those giveaways, what we're going to be doing is that we'll have all the instructions on the live. So when you're there at the end of the interview, the guest will pick the winner for every segment. So I would love to see you guys there. I've been like coordinating it like crazy. It's been
She
very
has.
time consuming, but I'm so excited because I really want you guys to meet these amazing writers, Substackers, creators. A lot of them run some of your favorite communities here on Substack. They're all really amazing and inspiring guests, and some of them are familiar faces and some of them are brand new to you. And I am so excited because like not only have I been working on this book for a really long time, but I've also been really lucky to be able to learn from some amazing Substackers and get to know more people in the Substack community. And so I think it's going to be awesome. And I'm excited for you guys to come. And so all you have to do is be subscribed to either Make Writing Your Job or Pseudoscience to get the notifications on live, just like you receive for this. And then every hour on the hour, or almost every hour on the hour, we're going to be having a guest, or I'm going to be doing a live reading of my book, Right for Money and Power, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. PT on Monday, January 12th, 2026. So that is the book launch, and it's going to be awesome. And I hope to see you guys all there.
incredible. And I guess that kind of like leads into what is the deal that's being ran right now that is probably the most, I guess, like desirable deal we've ever ran that I feel like would be worth refreshing some people on, but it only lasts until Monday. So, um,
Yeah,
do you want to tell us a little bit
definitely.
about it?
Yeah. So when I was working on the book launch for Right for Money and Power, I wanted to give away some pretty big gifts for people who pre ordered the book because as an author, I know that a lot of you know if you're authors as well. Getting pre orders is a really big deal because it boosts us in the Amazon algorithm. It helps us kind of have more visibility and find more readers. And so anytime somebody pre orders one of my books, I just like run around and like celebrate.
She
And
does.
so we have two pre-order gifts right now. So if you pre-order Right for Money and Power at amysuto.com/power, the 99-cent ebook on any platform that you pre-order it on comes with a free Notion template. And you just have to go to amysuto.com/power. And then once you've bought your pre-order of either an ebook or print version for one copy of the book, you just upload your receipt and then you'll be emailed a free Notion template. And this is a Notion template based on everything that I've done on my Notion of how I organize tracking pitches, client projects, my own writing. And I took all of the exercises in this book and basically turned them into my Notion template that I'm sharing with you. And so that's the first pre order benefit that ends Sunday night at midnight. And the second pre-order gift is what, like Kyle said, one of the biggest pre-order gifts to the point where when I told Kyle that I wanted to do it, he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. I think this is like a special occasion, so we want to do it." So, for those of you who are familiar with our community, Make Writing Your Job, we curate a ton of job listings. We have featured jobs, and we also have a job today. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But if you pre order 10 print copies of Right for Money and Power, which is somewhere between like $110, $150, depending on shipping and taxes in your location, then you'll get a free 12-month subscription to Make Writing Your Job, but not just any pay subscription. You're going to be getting access to our founding tier. So the founding subscribers at Make Writing Your Job not only get access to all of the paid benefits of the writing job board. So we post like nearly 5, 6, 7 times a week for the writing job board, the pitch list, grants, residencies, and contests. You'll have access to that, but you also get 24-hour early access to featured jobs. And then you also get access to our quarterly Zoom mastermind groups with other writers. So that is everything that you get for, and usually it is $550 a year. But if you just pre order 10 books, it's yours for free. And so that's like a 400 and something dollar off bonus. And so
Crazy.
and this is until Sunday night at midnight. After that, this is going away, and we probably won't be doing any deals for the founding membership in the near future, maybe for the rest of this year. So those are the things that we're really excited about. And we wanted to bring that up today because we just had a client who seems really cool who just posted a featured job on the writing job board today for a memoir ghostwriter at, I believe it's $50 an hour. And right now that's only available for founding members who get the first 24 hours to apply. And so if you're interested, if I know I've talked a lot about memoir ghostwriting and how clients of mine have like flown me out to Vienna and how it's just been like a really meaningful career. And so if you're wanting to start the new year and could potentially throw your hat in the ring for that, then just wanted to put that on your radar. You can pre-order the books, get a free membership as part of a pre-order bonus for the next 12 months. You can go apply to that memoir ghostwriting job and be like, off to the races for 2026. So that's kind of why we wanted to bring that all up on the call today. But Kyle, is there anything that you think people should be thinking about going into 2026 when it comes to freelancing, writing, and making writing their job?
Well, one thing that we just like assembled just to, talk about the job board for one more second is that we have our 2025 report and like this we did a rate transparency, which I'm sure like Amy will talk about a little more. But we did a complete tally of everything we did through the job board. And we have gotten, we for jobs that we posted last year, we had 5,072. That's how many jobs that have gone out to people that they were able to apply for. And so many people got jobs and it was incredible. 161 job boards went out. And we had over 55 featured jobs. And those were all primarily memoir ghostwriting jobs and developmental editing jobs. And so, And that's on top of like the pitch list that we send out every week, twice a week. And so the grants contests and residencies, and there's just so much that's going out. And so it was cool to have, one of our teammates, Michelle, she basically compiled all of that data, which was like super fascinating to kind of see because like, oh my God, 55 featured jobs, like how time flies.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's crazy. And feature jobs, for those of you who aren't aware, feature jobs are jobs that are clients that come directly to us to hire from our community or to post their job on our community. And sometimes these are people I'm interviewing on Substack Live. Sometimes these are people that Kyle and I run into in real life. Sometimes these are our clients or past clients or people who come into my orbit through my website. And so these are often people who are not just like random people on the internet. They're people that have either read articles or understand what a memoir ghostwriter does, what a developmental editor does. We've had YouTubers reach out with pretty big channels to hire YouTube scriptwriters. And so we really do have like a bunch of different ways that clients come in to find the writers on our job board. Um, and then, as another complete sidebar here, we're also about to be hiring for a social media manager who knows the writer's space. And so, if anybody is in that space, we're paying around roughly like $1,200 a month for a freelance social media manager. And the link to that is on my Substack profile if you want to apply. If you go to my Substack profile and scroll down through the notes, you can find it. So we're doing a lot when it comes to the writing job board. And it's been really cool to see how many jobs we had in the last year and how many writers have reached out to us and let us know that they found that they, were hired for their first memoir ghostwriting job last year through our job board or got their very first pitch that they ever have like written. But yeah, maybe we should talk about the rate transparency report.
yeah, bring it up. Let's throw some numbers at everybody.
Yeah, so this is a free thing that we're doing that Kyle mentioned our team member Michelle did as a kind of like a roundup of 2025 because we were curious. We're like, okay, we know what freelance writing is for the people who reach out to us and are like, I found this cool job. I'm flying to Berlin for a few months just to hang out as a freelancer. Like we hear these stories from our community of people who are crushing it, but we're like, okay, let's do a formal survey. Let's reach out to our whole community and let's see how many writers write in, share what they earned in 2025, what were some of the biggest learnings from 2025, and what their experience level is. So, first, we wanted to ask our writers who responded to our rate transparency survey, what is their experience level? And what we saw is that a lot of very experienced writers were represented in our data, with also some newer writers too. So most of our writers had around 6+ years of experience, but we still saw that big segment of beginner writers with even less than 1 year of experience was 14% of the people who responded. So we had like a nice spread of data, but we had a lot of professionals too. And so, one of the things that we were curious about is where our writers and editors found clients in 2025. And the number one way that freelance writers and editors found clients was through referrals and word of mouth. And this makes a ton of sense because once you work for one client, they'll refer you to another. I've seen that a lot. Like Kyle and I have seen that, like when it comes to if you do good work for one person, then it'll create a domino effect. And then the second way that people found clients in 2025 was previous clients. So repeat work, which again makes sense. When you do good work for one client, they'll be likely to hire you again. And then we were very pleased to see that Make Writing Your Job was the third highest way that writers and editors found clients in 2025, even above cold pitching and direct outreach. So again, we're just like super like grateful to be here and helping writers on their journey for landing jobs and clients, whether they're writers or editors and things like that. And social media was much lower on this piece of the survey than I thought. But that makes sense because I've never gotten clients from social media. And I think that that's just, it's sometimes hard to get the ideal clients that you want from social media unless you are doing something like social media writing. But this is the part of the survey that Kyle and I were like, yeah, we thought that this was true, but we weren't sure. So in our rate transparency survey, we asked all of our writers, did you increase, decrease, or keep your rates the same in 2025? And over 58% of writers reported saying that they increased their rates in 2025, which was awesome because not every writer is going to increase their rights or their rates every year.
I
And
hope they're
so
right. Yeah.
and so I thought that that was super cool because I was just like, this is something that when it comes to freelance writing, if you're, and we have a lot of experts on our job board too. So they're not necessarily going to be increasing their rates every year. But to see over half of the writers last year raise their rates was awesome. And I just want to pause and say, hi, Patrick. Nice to see you. He says, hello from New Caledonia, and thanks for this live. Thanks for tuning in. And so right now, for those of you who have joined, we're going through a rate transparency survey that we did for Make Writing Your Job. It's available for free if you want to see the report of what writers made in 2025, where they're finding their top jobs and things like that. So there was another question that we asked, which was what contributed to your higher rates for writers? Like what allowed you to charge more? And the number one thing that helps writers charge more was having a stronger portfolio and a clear positioning. And we'll talk about this a little bit more because Kyle has a really great piece coming out in Make Writing Your Job later this week. But we see this again and again. Whether you're an expert writer or a beginner writer, you should be revisiting your portfolio. And then, Kyle, we just recently did something with ClassStack. Do you want to share for people who maybe aren't aware?
Um, well, ClassStack's free now, and I think we announced it last week as a part of the bundle of gifts that we did last week. But ClassStack's free to people, so you can go in and kind of see Amy's process and what she's seen, and also a lot of others. She brings people in to kind of like ask questions, and I don't know, it's just an amazing resource. And we were really wanting more people to kind of have more support to try to figure out how to raise their rates, extend their offers, build their portfolios better. Because even if people have been working for many, many years, the sun just is wanting to find where you're at, Suto.
I know.
We just thought that it made sense that we wanted people to like have as much material as possible in order to like get started. And obviously, like all of the jobs and all of that is for paid subscribers. But we were really wanting to give as much support to beginner writers as possible because I think Amy and I both from different sides. Like I deal with a lot of people who unsubscribe and notes from that, and I think that Amy deals with people on the front end where she's like directly engaging with them and helping them with stuff. And I think like a couple things that I saw coming up a lot is that a lot of people felt like if they were just starting as a writer, they didn't know how to get jobs on the job board. And they felt like because there weren't jobs that were saying this is for a writer with no experience, there was nothing available to them. And so I had like seen this, kind of written a few times. And I just got to the point where I was like, okay, we need to address like these guys. Like, and that's something also, if you have a Substack, like listen to people who like send you notes. Like if people leave a note when they unsubscribe, like those are kind of like signals that you should try and think about to like, you know, reinforce your retention. And I think that, so this was the one that kind of came up and I saw it a few times where a lot of beginners didn't know how to start. And so I went on a giant rant yesterday that I basically typed, and and it was just like this gigantic thing that Amy was like, you know what, maybe it needs to be condensed down a little bit. And so I was like, okay. So I did a rewrite of it today, and then Amy was like, I think this is better. And so that's going to be going out Friday. But essentially, like the sneak preview of what that is I think entry level and what we imagine entry level is, it doesn't like really exist. And I think that I hear a lot of people who kind of get in their own way and say like, "Oh, like I can't do this," or "I shouldn't do this." And it's sort of like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I think like if there's a will, there is a way, and especially with any job, and most jobs will always say we're looking for somebody experienced because like who would be saying I want to pay somebody who knows nothing about what I'm asking for. I think like that was something that I was wanting to kind of like talk about because I think some people just think that if they receive any level of like not even rejection, but like feeling like they're not meeting a criteria that is for a job. I think that that's like kind of a signal that if you feel that way, there's a lot of different things that need to happen, but you shouldn't ever remove yourself from the running. And like, here's why. I think like in my experience, even when we were working in Hollywood, like we saw that there was like internships that were wanting experience people. And some even said 4 years of experience for this internship. And obviously that's insane. Like that's ridiculous. But if you look at that and say like, oh, well, I don't have 4 years, I can't apply to this. Like I think that we're at an era where I think that because there's so much information available, and I think a lot of like rote sort of writing tasks have been kind of automated, I think it requires like sort of more like proactivity on our end to also say that like this person's looking for this. How do I like create the portfolio and the materials that will show that I can do this? And a portfolio doesn't mean it has to be from paid clients. Like a portfolio is showing the work that you can do. And the thing that you should do is be able to say, like, I can do this work. And you need to like figure out a way to do that work first and say, like, I'm going to do like a sample chapter of a memoir for somebody I know or like a celebrity that I like just non commission, just like, I like this person. I'm going to write this chapter. And I think that's like a good way to think about it is that if there's a job that you really like, and if you feel like that you're not qualified enough for it on the job board, I think that's a signal that you should do something to make yourself like have that and feel like that you're supported enough in order to get that job. So it would be making the materials, making that portfolio. Um, just don't reject yourself. And I think that like we're giving jobs because we know what it's like for coming up from people who did kind of blog writing at the beginning. And Amy was working for like Comcast or something as like a or Spectrum. You were doing like some sort
No,
maybe
I was working
you
for
were
a
doing
separate
like
blog.
you were
Yeah.
doing blog writing for like a company at the beginning. That was like so anyways, rewind on that. But like we know what it's like for like very entry level work. And I think that, you know, I think the better way to get out of like that area where I think there's a lot of exploitation is to like build your portfolio and shoot for the job you really want. Because I think that passion and solving a problem and being able to be there for people and being able to like reassure them that you are going to make their life easier and better and make this thing that you're the only person that can do this. Like Amy has done this her whole life. Like she's always like kind of put herself out there and said like, you know, I've done this. Like I've had clients, I've written books. Like of course I can write your book. And it's like she had written a book and she had a client, clients, but she was like basically trying to figure out at each step, how do I present the materials that show that I'm the right person for this? And I think that that's like such an amazing mindset to go through is to basically don't reject yourself, just build the proof why you are the right person for that. And that's something that begins and ends with you. And I think that that's something that I just want to like instill with people is that there's nothing wrong with beginners. It's not unachievable. It just requires like proactivity and being able to say, how do I build the resources to prove that I'm the right person for this? And that starts with you.
Love that. And for those of you who are just tuning in, Kyle has a really great guest piece coming out on Friday talking about how to not reject yourself first, especially if you're a beginner or somebody who maybe is looking at a job being like, oh, this says it requires 4 years of experience. It's usually a lie, to be honest. Like I've gotten hired for jobs that I was not experienced for as a freelancer, where somebody was like, I want 10 years of finance copywriting experience. And I'm like, I don't have any of that. However, here's a piece I wrote that I think is what you're looking for in that tone. And you can convince anybody of anything. So even if a job says that there's a requirement of a certain number of years or they're looking for like expert writers, like you don't, it's all fake. It's all fake. This is all like make believe. And like focus on the things that like are actually like really truly unique to you that you can bring to that person. Because these companies, these hiring managers, these entrepreneurs, these clients, they're overwhelmed and overworked and they need you. And so you just need to tell them how you can solve their problem. And thanks, Satoria. Imposter syndrome very much is real. Like I agree with you. I think that this is something that we all deal with at every stage of our journey as writers and creators of trying to be like, do I belong here? Am I valuable? Is my work valuable? No matter where you're at, it's something that is is something that is like really key. And Kyle, I think you've done a really beautiful job kind of explaining this idea of like no internship should require 4 years to get somebody coffee. And also, why are people doing internships? Like everybody should just be freelancing.
I agree.
um, what else do you think is kind of important for writers to know going into 2026? What do you think that people should be thinking about with their portfolios, kind of with their mindset? And because like what we're seeing, and for those of you who missed it earlier, we were going through the rate transparency report and we were seeing that like writers are doing better than ever. And our freelancers in our community are also just they're crushing it. And they're working with clients and they're raising their rates. And the data shows that from what we've done. So Kyle, with that in mind of like that, like the future is really bright for writers and creatives, like what do you think people should focus on in 2026?
I think the hard thing is it's like, I think a lot of it is mindset. And that's like why it's so difficult because I think that, you know, growing up, I think like we've always wanted to find shortcuts and like even as a millennial, like even for video games growing up, like you used to be able to be like up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right. And then you had like all of the weapons in the game you would ever need. And I think sometimes like we're always thinking that there's something like that we're just like not doing and somebody could say that unlocks a lot. But the hard truth is it kind of is just like effort in some ways. And I think for this year, like I just want people to I know if I'm on a crusade of wanting people to feel empowered and that they can do it, I won't be 100% successful. Like I know that journey. Like I used to run a company with managing creatives and it's a bit of a it's a tough bag, but for anybody that's here that ever feels like that you don't have enough or you focus on the things that you don't have, it actually it actually takes away energy from finding and empowering the things that you do have. And I think like the thing that Amy's so good at is she does not spend any time kind of fixating on the things that went wrong. She just doesn't do it. She's just like, okay, that's done. Where's the next thing? You know, like it's like anybody that gets like punched, you can't just like you can't like think about that punch. You need to like engage. And so I think that Amy like has been just like an amazing person to observe because I tend to fixate on things. I'm like, oh, I should have done that better. And I'm much more like, past thinking and future thinking. And Amy's just all present. She's just like, none of that's helping me right now. Like, what are we doing? And so I think that for anybody here I think like you have Amy here, but like seeing her operate in on a daily basis is like really incredible. And I think like for yourself, like I hope that you have people around you that encourage you to like let the small things go, the things that you can't change. Like give yourself like some grace and like let it pass through your body. Don't suppress things, but just try to like be like that sucks and just like let it be there, but don't add to it. And then as like the Buddhism thing is like it's just like let it flow out and then as quickly as you can get back to solving the problem or looking for the opportunity that is present, like go for that. So that's like writing that first chapter for that memoir because you want to be a memoir ghostwriter, like you know developmental editing somebody like a friend who just finished a novel, like do a developmental edit for them and say, can I like share this like this feedback or this like report basically on my portfolio. So I think unfortunately it is mindset, and that's like the hard thing to say is that like it's pretty much within our power to figure these things out. And Amy's entire book, like the first section, is all mindset. And like as like Amy and I came from Hollywood and dealt with a lot of kind of like almost like cult of personalities and brainwashing and like being in these systems where everybody says like, how do I get ahead? How do I be a TV writer? And they're just like apply to fellowships. Like that was like all they said. And like as people that I've known that have gone through those fellowships, like they never like put anybody anywhere. And they never, I don't know, there's just like all these like little tricks that happen that like the system kind of like tries to keep you like a hamster in the wheel because that wheel is like powering their whole system, but they don't want you to get out of the wheel. And so I think it's just like important just to like try to take like accountability for it. And I think that sucks, but that's why like make writing your jobs here is in like what Amy's doing with her Substack courses is she's trying to like be there with you guys like through all these things to try to say that you're not alone, you can do this and create a support system because it is super hard. And I think like naturally as writers, if people are wanting to just like write instead of like, be out like being extroverts, like often I feel like a lot of that is because the outer world kind of scares us or overstimulates us in some way. And so it kind of like if you're writing, it's tough because like you're kind of in this like this vacuum of this world, and it's hard to kind of like figure it out, and you just want the world to kind of be as it is. And I think it's easy to tell ourselves things that, you know, that aren't true. And I think a lot of it, the thing that is true is that you can absolutely do this. And if you have never had a client, you can do it. We see many people all the time be like, I just started pitching and I got my first thing like within like a week. Like it's crazy. Like so it is possible, and nobody's behind. I think a lot of it is just like don't get in your own way. Don't make it harder on yourself because the rest of the world will be hard. Don't do that to yourself. Like in the most that you can let yourself off the hook, the better. So that's my rant. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for staying with me
No,
for the
well
last 10
said.
minutes as
No.
I work through it.
Kyle, well said. I think that like it's I like what you said about like the world will be hard and you need to be kind to yourself. And I also think it's just like I think that like the thing about this like rate transparency report that we have that we put out on like writing your job shows is that like there's a strong market for writers in moving into the next year into 2026. Like this is a growing market where experienced writers who have high rates are raising them even higher. And I think that a lot of people come to us and are like, oh, like, can I make writing my job without a gatekeeper? Like, can I get paid to write and create stuff without having to, work for a traditional company or something? And it's like, yes, absolutely. In fact, like freelancing is better than it's ever been before because more people are more comfortable with working remotely, and like the path is getting easier and easier for people to become freelancers and to start their own businesses and to be their solopreneurs and to be making writing their job. And you can start off like just by freelancing on the side of a full-time job. You don't have to quit right away. And I think that like there's so many pathways to make this life really fun and amazing and cool. And it's just like, and even like last night we did week 2 of the 6-week Substack sprint. And like I got an email this morning from one of the writers who was like, I just have so many post ideas and a series idea like after class last night because we were talking about the types of posts that do really well on Substack and what it means to build a community as a writer on Substack. And there's so many, when I was pulling example posts for that class last night, I was just so shocked about like how many different types of like creatives are doing really well on Substack. We're making 6 and 7 figures writing long form personal essays who are sharing their, thoughts on astrology and poetry. And it's not just famous people, it's not just famous authors, it's people who are just kind of like everyday people who are not propped up by these huge companies. And I think that that's so cool and so special and unique, and why I love Substack and why I love freelancing and kind of why we do the things that we do. I'm trying to see if there's any last things of the rate transparency that
Okay.
I missed. And for those of you who are just tuning in, we've been kind of talking a little bit about the rate transparency report and like what we found to be really interesting from over 100 writers who contributed and kind of some of the things that they were thinking about. Um, oh, yeah. The one thing that I think is really fascinating is that for most people who think freelance writing is something where you is a numbers game with clients, where it's like, oh, do I have to have like, dozens and dozens and dozens of clients to hit a 6-figure year or to do really well? That's actually not true and not what the data showed. What we actually saw is that the number of clients that were kind of the average of most people, including more of the expert writers, which some people would assume expert writers have more clients because they've been doing it for longer. We only had 10% of the people who responded saying that they worked with 10 plus clients in 2025, which I thought was really interesting. Most of the over 40% of the people who responded to our rate transparency survey said that they only worked with 3 to 5 clients last year. And I think that that was the most popular number of clients. And then we had about 25%, 6 to 10 clients. And then, as I mentioned, just over 10% worked with 10 plus clients last year. So what we're seeing is that to be a successful freelance writer, to be an experienced freelance writer, you don't need to work with a bunch of clients. And a majority of the people who responded to our survey are full-time freelance. And so I think that it just goes to show that you don't have to stuff your time full of servicing so many different types of clients. You can actually be more intentional and charge more for fewer clients. And that's what the experts are doing. That's what I'm doing. And I think that that's something that is really cool to know, that like you don't have to become this like, I have to do everything for everyone and be everywhere type of freelancer. But Kyle, do you have any more insights into kind of things that we've been talking about with the rate transparency survey, or anything that is kind of maybe bringing up?
Well, for the people that are here, that I know there was a person that asked you a
Oh,
question that
yes.
we'll get to, Nicole. Um, but yeah, I would say, like, from the report for the people, like, we've had 5,000 plus jobs that basically were posted through the writing job board last year. And so, like, there's definitely like things, and the fact that you only need 3 to 5 to basically make six figures is just, it's such a cool thing. Like, getting that rate transparency just made me feel so heartened, because I was like, I think as somebody that, like, deals with people who are like complaining or having a hard time, like, I always am like, oh my God, is everybody having a hard time? Is everybody just like not doing well? But then uh that kind of made me feel really good. And and for the people that have arrived that don't know of, like, the special kind of gift that we have that's going, basically for the rest of this week, and then it's going to disappear forever, is that we had 55 feature jobs that came out last year, and we had a special one today that is for memoir ghostwriting. And this basically means that your application gets seen before anybody else's, and you get a 24-hour head start on it. And that is included in our featured founding member tier. And the way that you could get it is like more affordable than ever. If you buy 10 of Amy's books through Amazon and then send the uh, yeah, exactly. And then send the order number, like, you basically get an automatic free year of the founding membership. And that's a quarterly mastermind that you get to meet with other people that are also like in that group trying to build. You get 24-hour free access to all the featured jobs, which are primarily memoir ghostwriting jobs and developmental editing. And you also basically comp a writer in need through our scholarship program, which is like a really cool thing we do, because there's a lot of, we want to make and help as much people as possible. And the founding member helps subsidize people that are really, really, really struggling, like, in a really profound way. So it goes to some really incredible people. So yeah, so that's that deal basically goes until Sunday. And yeah, I just wanted to update that for everybody
Yeah.
here. But I think the
And
transparency is like, it's super heartening just to show that, like, people can do this, and it doesn't require as much as I think a lot of people think.
yeah, and thanks, Sierra. Sierra left a comment in the chat. She said, "Truly, thank you for this Substack and y'all's advice, and helped me get myself back up after a layoff." So thank you, Sierra. I really really appreciate it. Like, I feel like that, like, the coolest part about last year for Kyle and I was just like getting in messages from people that are like, I land my first memoir ghostwriting job. Like I was a journalist and I was affected by layoffs, and I was able to like have this kind of like help me shift things around. And that's like why we do all this.
Yeah.
Like some days, like Kyle and I will be like at our computers at like 7 p.m. at night. I'm like hour 12 of our day, like little gremlins, and we'll be like, we do this for our community. We do this for them because like we love this, and like we also like we're both writers. Like we came up as assistants in Hollywood, and like we knew what it was like to be at the whim of like these big corporations that were just like, we're going to lay off all of these journalists, and we know what it was like to be like in that turmoil. So that's why we do that. And I think there was another comment that I'm going
From
to,
Nicole.
yes, let me scroll back. So
And the
Nicole
deal for
mentioned,
the book
oh,
is
go ahead.
amysuto.com/power. I forgot to say
Yes.
that. So you
Yeah.
can
And
go
so
there.
for people who want to get the comped founding membership, if you go to amysuto.com/power, if you order 10 books, you get that comped founding membership, Kyle was talking about, to make writing your job, and a 12 months comp subscription. And then if you even just pre-order one book, then you get the Notion template that I talked about earlier.
Yeah,
So
it's like
Nicole,
80% off the normal cost. So it's like a
yeah,
crazy
yeah. The
deal.
founding membership is like 400 and something dollars off what a normal founding membership is. So
Right.
this deal only lasts till Sunday. But let me get to Nicole's
Nicole.
comment.
Right.
She mentioned that she wrote a blog back in the day about being an adoptee, and the entirety of Deleted was deleted by her ex-husband. I have zero way of being able to recover it. Not really sure what to do in order to call it back or revisit it. Okay, so one thing, if you wrote it on Substack, I know you said you wrote a blog. if you wrote it on Substack, you can contact Substack support because we just actually had like a video file get deleted, and Substack support was able to get it back. If it's on another blog platform, it's kind of like who knows. I think that sometimes when things happen with previous work, if something gets deleted, if something gets destroyed or something or taken away from us. I think that the best way forward is knowing that everything happens for a reason, and that's the way that I look at things. And so, if like you lose a piece of art, if something gets deleted, if something goes wrong, knowing that like maybe you were meant to revisit it now in a new way, in a new way of approaching it. Like maybe there is something about kind of having fresh eyes and rewriting it from scratch that will actually give you an epiphany or a breakthrough. Um, but yeah, no, that sucks. Like anytime we lose work as writers, it can be heartbreaking. So Nicole, I'm sorry that happened to you. But I hope you're able to revisit that. Cool. I'm just seeing if there's anything else.
Do you want to talk
Oh,
about
oh
guest
wait,
stack?
And then Sierra mentioned try the Wayback Machine. Ooh, that's great.
Oh
The
yeah,
Wayback Machine is great, Nicole. Maybe try that. Guest stack, is that what you were mentioning, Kyle?
we're bringing it back, and
Oh
I was
yes,
just curious
yeah.
if you wanted to talk about it and why potentially we're bringing it back, and what people will start to see on Sundays going forward, and why we did it.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, I think that like you were a big champion of Guest Stack. Do you want to talk about it? Because I think it was such a great, like you were like, I had started doing this last year but you were very much a champion of bringing this series back. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about why?
Yeah, so I think we like piloted a program, basically not even a program, but like a section of the Make Writing Your Job that was for featuring people within the community that are um, just crushing it and doing well on Substack. And we were kind of wanting to make the community kind of see the other cool people that are also doing incredibly well. Um, so we had these weekly pieces that were kind of these profiles on people in the community. And so we are bringing that back, and it looks like we're going to have enough for every one to go out every Sunday for the entire year, which is crazy. Amy basically did that all in a week. So you're going to see some like really incredible pieces coming out. And I think that that's something that in the past we saw that people really enjoyed. And so that will be coming back to Make Writing. And also like we've been like figuring out more things, and there should start to become more jobs than ever on the job board. That we were seeing how there were certain constraints that were happening like in our team. And so we've like reordered some things that there should be like dozens more jobs coming into the job board, like if not every day, but every week. So it should start to grow and be really impressive. And so we've been really like hard at work at the beginning of this year, just like observing everything, and it's been making my mind like jelly. And it's like I'm surprised it's not falling out of my ears. Um, but it's been a lot. But I see how worth it's been for so many people, and I think that I think we have a lot of really cool things coming this year for Make Writing Your Job. And yeah, I guess Stack's gonna be one of them. And there's some crazy cool people that are in there that I think you guys are all going to really love to see
Yeah.
and observe,
And
you know?
to dive in, so a guest stack is we have both written interviews and Substack live interviews. So if you go to makewritingyourjob.com, click on the guest stack button, you can go through the archives and see we've had some really great authors. And the thing that we intentionally did with guest stack is that everybody who we interview is in the community for Make Writing Your Job in Substack. So they're part of the community. They're part of all of what we're all doing together here. And that was like our intent, is to spotlight people who are in the community. And then also pretty much everybody on Guest Stack is also a Substack bestseller. So they've cracked something with their publication, with their online presence in their community that's unique. And we decided to like have that focus and that emphasis because I do think that like when you pass that first bestseller badge on Substack, and for those of you who aren't familiar, a Substack bestseller, the first badge, which is the orange one, the outline is for 100 paid subscribers on Substack, and then 1,000 paid, and then the blue one or purple one is 10,000 paid. And so we it does show that people who have these badges have created trust with their readers and have created and written content or curated communities that people really respect and pay to be a part of. And that is kind of like a really, really cool thing to do in a very crowded space of the internet where people can buy for a lot of things. And so one of the things that I'm asking all of these Substack bestsellers is like, how did you start your publication? Like, what was the thing that like inspired you to start it? And what are some growth tips of like something surprising you learned about how to grow your Substack? And so those are two things. And so I know some people on this live are also working on growing their Substack and are also subscribed to my Substack Pseudoscience, where I'm running the 6 week Substack sprint and we're helping people grow on Substack and talking about all of that. So guest stack, I think, is going to be something that is going to be really cool because these people that we're interviewing have done a really good job building like a cool presence online as writers or multi hyphenates or people who aren't writers first but kind of fell into writing through another way. And we have people from all different niches. I've reached out to people who are food bloggers and like really cool different types of people who are TV writers, food bloggers, illustrators. Many of whom you guys will probably like know or potentially be subscribed to. And so I'm really excited to introduce you guys to more Substacks, more people, more writers, more creators that I think you're going to love. And so that new series is starting this Sunday. So we're really excited to start that again. And kudos to Kyle for highlighting that and being like, I should start this back up this year.
Is there anything on your mind, Amy, that you think like coming into this year, what you feel from the right transparency of it all, or like what are you thinking kind of is going to be like the unique kind of like opportunities, challenges that you think are going to be in 2026, and what's just like on your mind, and what are you thinking about a lot?
Yeah, I really do think that when it comes to memoir ghostwriting, I still think that this is like an elite niche for writers. I talk about memoir ghostwriting a lot, but I wanted to bring it up especially because we have this featured job on the job board today that just went out like an hour ago for our founding members for it to have the early access for 24 hours for a memoir ghostwriting job at I think it's like $50 an hour for this one. Um, I think it's so important to, when you're thinking about writing in 2026, trying to figure out what are projects that you can lend creativity to that you can work closely and bring a human element to. And I love ghostwriting. And I've actually had a lot of members of the writing job board here at Make Writing Your Job email me and being like, hey, not only did I land a ghostwriting job from the job board, and not only was it really cool to land that, but it also changed me emotionally. And I think that that's really cool because as a memoir ghostwriter myself, I feel like my clients have changed my life. And because when you're a memoir ghostwriter, you develop this level of intimacy with your client where you get to know them, their families, you see their childhood photos. Sometimes you go visit their hometown. And I was like so cool. It was so cool last year to like visit my client's hometown in Vienna, Austria. And like he lived in the countryside and I got to meet his whole family. And they were very excited to show me the vegetarian versions of Austrian food. And so I think that like you kind of are changed by the clients that you interact with. And the nature of ghostwriting is you're often ghostwriting for entrepreneurs, for pro athletes, for creatives, for people who often can't tell their own story or they're too close to it or they need help translating it and kind of putting it on the page and finding that emotionality. But they've often achieved something really cool in their life or they've overcome something really special. And so memoir ghostwriting is this really beautiful profession where and if you write fiction, you'll probably be a great memoir ghostwriter because it's about kind of being a chameleon and stepping into the shoes of your client, stepping into their voice and figuring out how to translate that. And it's also a great niche for freelancers because you can have fewer clients for longer periods of time, but you can still be diversified and so it's not like you're taking one client who is doing everything for the whole year unless you want to. And so you're still having the stability of that you don't even have with a full-time job because you're able to maybe stack a memoir ghostwriting project, a developmental edit, and kind of figure out how to have like a nice rhythm for the year. But you don't have to work with very many clients because ghostwriting inherently you charge more because your name is not on the book. And you don't have to you just have to help the client tell their story on the page. And so I want to bring that up because I definitely want to encourage you guys to apply to the memoir ghostwriting job that's on the writing job board today that the client reached out to me today about. Or it was even a few days ago, they reached out to me about it. And I'm like, I think this would be a great one for our community. And so I'm really excited for whoever gets that one because I think it sounds like a really special project.
Is there anything that you think for somebody that is starting out as a memoir ghostwriter that would be good things to like think about or have in mind or systems? I'm curious, kind of like from the first book that you did to like where you are now, like what do you think is the biggest difference for the things you look out for? Sort of like, I'm curious, kind of like, what do you think is like a good memoir ghostwriting starter kit for somebody to have in order to like do do the job well?
Yeah, well, on Make Writing Your Job, we just made Class Stack free for everybody. And there's a whole class where I teach all of the breakdowns of how to be a memoir ghostwriter and what I did to scale my career up to 6 and 7 figures as a memoir ghostwriter. And so all of that is there. But I do think that the emphasis needs to be put on having a strong portfolio. And that doesn't mean having a book in your portfolio. I got some of my early memoir ghostwriting jobs off of a short story that I didn't publish anywhere other than Medium, and then eventually a personal essay that I had published in the LA Times. Like those were like my two key pieces that landed me like huge memoir ghostwriting jobs. And so you do not need to have written a book to write a book. It is helpful. I'm not gonna lie. Like if you could write a book before like go to clients and be like, here's my full book, there it'll be easier for them to hire you. But you can get these big memoir ghostwriting jobs off of shorter samples. And writing a book is like not as hard as people make it out to be. It's just like writing. If one Substack that you write, if one Substack post is like, if it's like 1,000 words long, if you write long form personal essay style, it's like 60 Substacks. Like that's what a book is. It's like it's not that long. And so I think it's like also removing the intimidation factor of writing a book. And a lot of people like make writing a book to be this complex, challenging thing, and it's hard. Like it's not easy. But I think that like once you're just like, oh, I just need to do one page at a time, put one foot in front of the other, and have a portfolio that has like some good variation of voice, because you want your ideal client who is memoir looking to hire a memoir ghostwriter to see their voice in your pages. And so having like one short story in this tone of voice and one personal essay from this tone of voice and kind of showing your range in your portfolio will be helpful. And then fiction samples sometimes are really good for the memoir ghostwriting jobs.
That's amazing, Amy Suto. I know we're wrapping up here. Basically, we have
Yeah.
10 minutes left. If anybody has any questions and wants to ask, otherwise, I can just talk about the Strangers Things finale. And because it was awful, I thought it was really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to
But
tell? You
I'm
want
just
to
like,
talk about
what
the
is going
Stranger Things?
on with
Are
like
we
things?
spoilers? Is it spoilers ahead?
I won't spoil anything, but it's
Okay,
just
good.
like it's it's just crazy. Like I thought it just looked bad. Like because everything was like shot on the volume, which is basically like, where you have like a bunch of screens around and then people are just walking around in circles essentially. And it was just like a little wild to look at. Where's the best place to post your portfolio that isn't Substack?
Yeah. So, Nicole, I would recommend we just had, as part of all the class tech classes we had free, I taught a portfolio 101 class that breaks down how exactly to put together your portfolio, even if you don't have any paying clients. And the best version of your portfolio is honestly a PDF. And you can make that with Canva. You can do it in like a slideshow format. Like you can have it put together pretty easy. And I kind of share like how to do that in the portfolio class. Every writer, I also think, should have a website that isn't on Substack, because hot take, Substack is horrible for SEO. Anybody who's like, I'm working on keywords to get my Substack ranked in Google, that I mean, good, but like we have it's so hard to get your Substack ranked in Google because Google treats it like a news source. It doesn't treat it like a website. So it's like
Hmm.
we've seen again and again that my blog, amysuto.com, like we don't do a whole lot for it, and it ranks so much better on Google. Like we got 1 million impressions last month on Google for my website that I maybe write like a few times a month on, if that. So
That's
it's like
generous.
yeah, yeah, you're right. That is very generous. I maybe write once a month on my blog, and I get way more impressions than. And obviously, we built a foundation of SEO, so you can't just immediately do that out of the gate. But I think that every freelancer should have a separate website. And I know that I've been promising a class on that, and I will do that at some point. And then Deborah asked, do you have a class on finding a niche? Yes, we have a class called Freelancing 101 that is basically about all things niches. But it's like the thing with niches is that you really want to also go and see like what are the niches that are like, trending on the job board. And that's why job boards are so great for freelancers. And you kind of scope out like who's paying what for what, or what are the starting rates for what clients are listing as payments. Because if you didn't know, you can negotiate with every single client on every job board ever as a freelancer. Even if they're like, oh yeah, we'll pay $50 an hour for this, they might pay 100. And just like you need to negotiate especially if you're starting to raise your rates. And like even in our last quarterly mastermind group for Make Writing Your Job, one of the biggest pieces of advice that one of our founding members gave was like, she's like, y'all need to raise your rates. Like you have no idea. Like I keep getting told by clients my rates are too low. And so inflation is real. Raise your rates.
That's really funny. I remember when I started to observe Amy's process and like what she was doing on Upwork all the way back, and I was like, what do you like do for when you're pitching like what your proposed rate should be? And she's just like, I just take whatever they had and I triple it. And I thought that was like such a funny like idea. And I'm like, are you serious? Like you're getting triple what these people are even saying their budget is? And she's just like, yeah. And so it's like I think like you guys, a little cheat code is chances are somebody is willing to pay 3 times more than they're currently saying. And I think it just comes down to like Amy's whole thing that is in uh her book that's coming out next week, Right for Money and Power. It talks a lot about oh God, I'm like losing my train of thought. For pricing. Oh, you should try to say what your rate is right below breaking a smile. Like you need to kind of like not like laugh maniacally or like self-consciously because it's like that's like look yourself in the mirror and being like, I make $1,000 an hour. Or it's like this book is $100,000, pay me. And like whatever your threshold is for what you can say with a straight face is like what you should be doing. And because like I don't know. So I thought that was like really funny. It's like Amy was just like, I just triple it and I don't think about it.
Yeah, and I just want to
Um,
say, since I'm here right now, I just want to let Elizabeth know. I think she might be on this call. I just saw that you. Thank you for pre-ordering 10 books of Right for Money and Power. I'm right
nice.
now on this call since I'm here on this page. I'm upgrading your subscription to Founding and adding 12 months for it. So you now have Founding membership on Make Writing Your Job, and I'll shoot you an email too, and we're also going to write it forward because every founding member, we also cover a paid annual subscription for another writer on the job board. So thank you, Elizabeth. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we're glad you're here.
Allison just said, do you still recommend hiring an SEO consultant for your website, or is SEO dying?
Um, Kyle, what do you think? Because you actually did something really cool with helping us rank on AI search engines. Do you want to talk a little bit about like AI search versus like Google SEO and like things like that? Because I think that this
Yeah.
stuff is like really, really interesting. And you have like a really good perspective because you've helped us. Like, I would say that like the million impressions that we get on Google every month is like in a large part because of you and like what you figured out for us.
So Amy's very good at generating, and I'm very good at maintaining what she has generated. We have found, and for her website, honestly, like I don't know if we can cover all this in 4 minutes, but
We
it
could
is
go
a
over this. Okay.
very yeah yeah. SEO is not dead. When you Google anything or if you search anything in AI, it is pulling from the internet. And what it's pulling is essentially the top 10 basically pages that are on it's basically the first page of Google. So some people said the best place to hide a dead body is on the second page of Google because nobody's going to find it there. Um, and so if you're able to like rank on the first page, which means going after niches and getting keywords and doing research and going through Google keywords, like because they can Google Keyword Planner, basically you can type in writer or whatever your niche is. If you're a recipe copywriter, you can see kind of what people search. But so Amy was like an expert for that. She was like taken to conventions with her father when she was 12 years old. So honestly, like a bit of the genius of Amy Suto that I think is like I've never really heard her talk about is like her SEO. And if you type in memoir ghostwriter in Google right now, like Amy will come up. If you type in like I want to hire the best memoir ghostwriter, likely the search engine is going to say Amy Suto. And a lot of that comes down to is that she's just been posting for a while, but we've seen new websites categorized for people and they're able to get mentioned there. It's a bit of a longer term thing sometimes, but um, what I had to do and the thing you should be thinking about with your website is, and you should have a website like Amy said, and if you don't have a website, go check out the portfolio class. I think she talks a little bit about that also there. But having like a consistent blog that is talking about similar things because the more that you fragment it the more that it kind of dilutes it a little bit. But if you are like for Amy, like she was the memoir ghostwriter, so she just like memoir ghostwriter, memoir ghostwriter, memoir ghostwriter, like she was writing about that 10 years ago. And there was just so many people, and a lot of those feature jobs like come through that because and that's why like Amy built Make Writing Your Job and like wanted to start sharing the jobs is because there was so much stuff coming in and stuff that was like really legitimate jobs, but like she just didn't have the capacity or the time, or us, like we just didn't have like the capacity to take it on as a team either. And so it was like that's where all these jobs come through. And as people that also at a different period of time, when we had like an agency, we did a lot of outreach and tried to like do cold emails to CEOs. We went to like every Fortune 500 CEO and basically were messaging with them and trying to get them to write their book. And what we realized is that it is incredibly hard to get somebody to write a book if they don't already want to. And it, because like you can't convince anybody to do anything, I believe, in some way, unless it's like a value that's very clear and they don't have to do anything with it. But for somebody's life story, it takes a lot of time to get through that. And like it takes us like sometimes a year with these books. Like Amy just wrapped up a book that she's been writing for a whole year. And it's like it's fascinating just to see kind of like I don't know, it's just like it's such a unique thing. And that's why like I think like all of this like amazing resource and warm leads that were coming into the job board, like that's what the featured jobs are. That's why like that stuff is like so valuable, is because it's so hard to start as a memoir ghostwriter. And these are all jobs that are paying pretty well to great to amazing. And there's stuff that is just never posted anywhere. Because like as people that try to figure out a system in order to get more of these people funneled in and have a whole sales team and do all of that, like it just doesn't work. It's really, really hard because it's like that person needs to be really intrinsically motivated to tell their life story. And it needs to come from them first. And so that's why these jobs are so valuable and why like it's like the only place on the internet you can actually find these things in a like in a way. Um is because it's like the unique nature of it. It's like a legendary Pokemon. Like it just shows up and then if you don't capture it, it's just gone. And then you have to go back to a save point, and then go back in time and do that. But um I don't know. It's just like SEO is definitely like not dead, but there's just more things on top of it that are making it unique. Like, for instance, like when you search on AI, because everybody's searching with AI now, like a lot of I don't know who here is like searching on Google, maybe. Maybe if you're a little older, you still do it, but a large majority of the trends are showing that it's actually coming through ChatGPT or through Gemini. But what they're doing is they're listing all their sources. And so sometimes when you see it where you see like they're looking and what they're kind of like searching is you're seeing the keywords that they're literally entering into a search engine. So whether it's Perplexity or anything, you'll see it like looking up different things where it's like trends for writers in 2026 or memoir ghostwriting for writer, like, like it shows that. And that's like an easy way to sort of like just screenshot those. And then those are your new keywords. So if like you're trying to show up for like, the best recipe writer, like you'll see all of the different categories that this thing is naturally searching for and immediately make that a part of your keywords for a blog that you write because it kind of just gets you ahead of the pack. And so it's something that feels like really highly technical, but like once you just like observe it, it's actually really easy. Website speed. But yeah, so SEO is not dead because it's fueling literally all of AI. And then the one other thing that I would say is the difference with SEO is like saying like memoir ghostwriter was like a keyword that we went for. But the difference with between that and what a AI is looking for is that AI is going through these like reasonings where it's essentially saying what is a memoir ghostwriter? Like who's the best memoir ghostwriter? Like what are the things that find the best memoir ghostwriter? And it's literally searching these things and going through reasonings and they're taking those pages in all of its context and trying to find similarities. So by putting the prompts, the questions, like almost like as a rhetorical question inside of your post, maybe this is the closest thing to the cheat code I know, is what people call GEO, which is the generated engine optimization, is saying like, who is the best memoir ghostwriter? So in like Amy's blogs, and we went through and redid them, or I went through and punched them up, it was essentially like, you may be asking yourself, who is the best memoir ghostwriter? And the answer is like, there's a lot of different people. But if you're looking for this, Amy is the best memoir ghostwriter for this. And what that's immediately doing is being like, who is the best memoir ghostwriter? And it's like, well, this talked about it here, and these are the keywords in here. And then it brought up Amy Suto. And so then it kind of like puts her in the running for it. And so even a lot of the featured jobs that came in for the current featured memoir ghostwriting jobs from this past year, a lot of people were like, I just like went to ChatGPT and I asked it who would be the best, and it said you.
Or
And
they put
yeah,
in like, where's the best place to find memoir ghostwriters? And they found Make Writing Your Job.
yes,
And so
exactly.
Kyle is like the genius behind a lot of this stuff. And I know that Jami asked a class on ranking SEO versus AI would be great. And yeah, I think I agree. I think that that would be a great class. And then Allison, just to wrap up on whether or not you should hire an SEO consultant, I think that SEO is actually way more simple than what people think. Even though maybe this sounds complex to you, but honestly, I think you can learn it yourself pretty easily. And it's just a matter of like trying to think about like Google is going to rank you higher if you have the keywords in your the title of your blog, your URL for the blog, and then the subheadings for your blog, and then how many times that keyword is in the whole blog.
Hmm.
So it's really just and then the alt text of your images. So and then, as we mentioned before in this live, Substack sucks at SEO. So you do need a separate website, and that also is annoying. But that's just what we've seen. But I think that that's kind of like there's a lot more that like we can say about it. But I feel like SEO is once you learn it, it's simple. It's just not easy. If that makes sense. And Kyle's done such a great job, and like Kyle's kind of like this mastermind when it comes to like learning. And yeah, Allison, I agree. Like Kyle, it would be an epic class for you to run and to help teach
Oh.
everybody. But I think that that's about it for class. And not to give you more work, Kyle, but I think let's maybe like wrap up and kind of talk about some of the things that we have going on this next week, Kyle. If you're down for a wrap up.
Yeah. So Amy, like I know we have 120 people here, which is crazy. To even imagine that many people here, it's amazing. But for next week, the thing that Amy has been working on tirelessly for 6 months is finally here. It's weaving in and out of the image, right for money and power. What? How can people get this book? Why should they get this book? Like, talk about what it's meant for you. Like, I'm curious, and like, what do you think it means, and who did you write it in mind for?
Yeah. So, Right for Money and Power, The Anti-Starving Artist's Guide to Becoming a Seven-Figure Writer is the book that I've been working on for you. And I have been writing this not only for you and everyone who's on this call right now, but also for a younger version of myself. And this is everything that I wish I wouldn't have known, not only at the start of my writing career, but also just a year ago. Like this is stuff that I have really wanted to know when it comes to growing a freelancing career, self-publishing books, and building a paid newsletter. And so and as we've mentioned earlier on this call, one of the things that I really wanted to do was have a lot of great pre-order gifts. So if you order, this book comes out on Monday. And so if you order before Sunday night, then for 99 cents, then you'll also get the Notion template based on all of the exercises in this book that I've designed specifically for you. And so by just ordering one copy of the book, ebook or print, you'll get that Notion template if you go to amysuto.com/power. And then as we've been talking about on this call, we also are doing an insanely like huge deal on founding memberships for Make Writing Your Job. So if you order 10 print copies of the book before Sunday night, then which is around like $110, $150, depending on taxes and shipping, then you're going to also get a free founding membership to Make Writing Your Job. And again, just send in the receipt to amysuto.com/power on that form. And that founding membership includes our access to our job board at Make Writing Your Job, for a whole year at a founding membership level, which includes like all of the job posts we do on a weekly basis, as well as 24 early access to feature jobs like the memoir ghostwriting job we have on the job board today that is currently in the 24 early access for founding members only. And you also get to write it forward, which means your founding subscription helps us cover the a writer's subscription in need. And so we have a scholarship program where we give away paid subscriptions for 12 months for writers who need it. And so by becoming a founding member, you're paying it forward. You're getting 10 copies of the book, which also you get to give away, put into little free libraries, give to your writer friends. And I wrote this book for you. I hope you enjoy it. And as a way to celebrate the book coming out on Monday, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I'm doing a 12-hour Substack live where I'm going to be having some amazing special guests. And almost every hour on the hour, we're going to see like how many guests that I'm going to end up with. But because I'm also going to be doing some live readings of the book, almost all of our guests, actually all of our guests, are going to be giving away a paid subscription for a year to their Substack or a free copy of their book to somebody live. So if you show up live on Monday, then you will be entered to win by answering a question in the chat at the end of every single interview on the hour for 12 hours. And then Kyle and I will also be giving away some things on Monday as well. And so, if you are wanting to be there to celebrate, to learn from some of the amazing best-selling Substackers, creators, and writers and authors that I'm going to be having on the book launch on Monday, then I really hope to see you there because it's been a long time of working on this book, and I've poured my soul into this for you guys, and I hope you love it, and I hope you love the celebration that we're doing on Monday for the book launch.
Absolutely incredible. Good job, Amy Sita.
So I think that's about it. And then also Kyle's post comes out on Friday on Make Writing Your Job when it comes to kind of thinking about your mindset going into the new year about the idea of how beginner slash entry level jobs in writing have changed and why that's actually a really good thing. So be sure to keep an eye out for that as well. Kyle, anything else before we wrap up?
Nothing. You have your hair looks great today, Amy said as always. So thank you for
Thanks.
spending time with me. I hope that you let me out of this living room at some point. I'm tired.
You're funny.
I want to see the sky.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being live with us, everybody, and I hope you guys have a great day. And I'm also going live with a great writer tomorrow, Lane Scott, who basically embarked on a sabbatical and quit her corporate job and is breaking down the logistics of how to do so. So if you want to quit your corporate job and go on a writing sabbatical, then I hope you guys will join us at 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow morning for that conversation with Lane Scott Jones. But great. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
you're awesome, Elizabeth. Later.
Thank you.
Bye.